So when people try to figure out how to make $1 million, they have no idea how daunting that is. Because if you know how to make $1 million, you go make it tomorrow. But since you can't figure out how to $1 million idea, you go somewhere and sit down. That's the wrong approach. If you apply your gift, your God-given gift that he gave you, you have millions already at your disposal. If you break it down inch by inch into things essential, or the 10 by 10 theory, which is very simple. You don't need $1 million idea, you need a $10 idea. You need something that you do, your gift that God gave you, to make $10. That's all you got to be able to know. I don't care if it's cutting hair, cutting somebody's grass, washing somebody's car. I don't care if it's mowing somebody's lawn. I don't care if it's driving people to their destinations. I don't care if it's babysitting. I don't care if it's baking cookies or pie. You have some braiding somebody's hair. You have something that you can do so well that someone will give you $10 for it. Write my paper for me. Do this for me. Somebody give you $10 for it. Once they give you $10, all you got to do is whatever you did to get that 10, do it 10 more times. You now, my friend, have $100. You have $100 simply because you took a $10 idea and you did it 10 times. Well, guess what? If you take that $100 that you made since you done it 10 times and you do it 10 more times, I got news for you, my friend. You now have $1,000. $1,000, you make $1,000. Guess what all you got to do? You got to multiply that effort again. Do whatever you did to do $1,000, do it 10 more times. My friend, you now have $10,000. You got $10,000 now. Imagine if you was making an extra $10,000 a month. Just imagine if you was making an extra $10,000 a month. That's $120,000 a year. But I got news for you, my friend. Whatever you did, whatever it took to make yourself $10,000, all you got to do is do it 10 more times. 10 more times, my friend. You now have $100,000. I got news for you now. If you can make $100,000, you're just a step away from being a millionaire, man. Because now you hire a few more people to help you out, that you can do portions of what you do, so you can duplicate that effort. And one more time, just one more time, do it 10 times. Man, that sounds hard. It is hard. But what else you got to do? What, you gonna stop at the 100,000? All you gotta do is duplicate your efforts by 10. You duplicate your efforts by 10 times 100,000. Welcome to the club, my friends. You are now a millionaire. Congratulations. You became a millionaire with a $10 idea. So stop bogging yourself down trying to figure out how to make $1 million. Do what you can do to make $10. And then do the 10 by 10 theory. Inch by inch, anything's essential.
Second of all, be results-oriented. Now, results-oriented people are always thinking of the most important things that they can do right now to achieve their most important results. Successful people make a list of everything they have to do, and before they start working, they set priorities on the list. Here's a great way to become result-oriented. Actually, it's life-changing. Ask yourself, once you have your list for the day, if I could only do one thing on this list before I was called out of town for a month, what one activity would I want to be sure to get completed? And put a circle around that and start on that activity immediately, first thing, and then discipline yourself to work nonstop until you complete that one activity. This simple technique has taken people from rags to riches all over the world for at least 100 years. Pick your most important task and start on it immediately, and then discipline yourself to stay with it until it's complete.
You won't be successful until you say, I don't need that money, because I got it in here. So listen to me. Emmitt Smith said this at the end of the commercial. Emmitt Smith said, all men are created equal. Some work harder in preseason. I'm going to say it again because you might have missed it. All men are created equal. Some work harder in preseason. So that means that there are some people who are going to see the professor, going to see the TA. And even when the professor says, I don't meet with you, my TA meet with you, you say, I don't want to talk to your TA. I don't pay the TA. I pay you to teach me. So you're going to have to find some time to meet me. If I got to meet you at the mall, if I got to meet you at your house, you are going to see me. Listen to me. All men are created equal. Some work hard in preseason. When I went to college, guys were way smarter than me. 4.0s, 3.0s. They went to the Ivy League high school, came to Oakwood from these great high schools. Most of them are not doing what I'm doing. Why? Because it's not about where you come from. It's about heart. You come to a place where, being smart ain't enough. You got to have heart. That's number one. Watch number two. Number two, catch number two. I wrote it down. I wanted to make sure you got it. It says to be, watch this. We're talking about sacrifice now. The important thing is this. You're right while I'm saying it, because I only have about 3 more minutes. Listen to me. The most important thing is this. To be able at any moment to sacrifice what you are for what you will become. That's the number 2 thing. You got to catch that one. To be able to, listen to me, at any moment. Some of you can make sacrifices when Monday Night Football is not on. You can make a sacrifice. But when the game come on, for some reason, you just attached to it. For some of you, when your favorite show come on, you can make sacrifices on Sunday when ain't nothing going on. But when your favorite show comes on Monday, man, some of you focus until the phone ring, and then you like, I gotta answer. If I don't answer the phone, I'm gonna die. I'm saying to you today that there are some of you, if you give up your cell phone, you would be successful. But your cell phone is more important to you than your success. I'm gonna say it again. I'm gonna hurt somebody. Some of you need to give up your cell phone, because the time you spend on your cell phone could be used for your success. The time you could be using to be successful, you're using it on the cell. And the cell phone is not bringing you nothing but a bill. And somebody has told you you couldn't live without it. I'm talking about going deep now, giving up stuff. Watch what it says. To be able at any moment to sacrifice what we are for what we could be. I don't do well in math. You're right. You ain't never studied. I'm not good at writing because you have never written before. But I dare you to fail in writing for a whole year to see if you can get to the end. I dare you to fail. I dare you to take that same class over and over again. I dare you to stop dropping classes like you soft. Always want to give up. I'm dropping. Why are you dropping?
What do you think your core competence is?
Our core is culture. It's not the technology. I think technology is a tool. The core competence of our companies, we have 20,000, grow from 18 people to now 20,000 young people. And we focus a lot on the value and the mission and making sure the culture, everybody work for helping others instead of just making money.
And speaking of attitude, May 3rd, 2004, I had the pleasure of meeting one of the most incredible human beings I've ever met in my life, Christopher Reeve. This was 5 months before Christopher Reeve passed away. Chris and I were both keynote speakers at the San Diego Convention Center. I was the opening keynote, Chris was the closing keynote. And for those of you that need a refresher, Christopher Reeve was the first actor to play the role of Superman in the movies, and this was in the early 80s. And his career came to a complete halt when he was suddenly paralyzed from the neck down as a result of a horseback riding competition. And when I got off the stage that day, Dana Reeve, his wife, approached me. And I never met her before. And she runs up to me, she gives me a big hug and a kiss on the cheek. She goes, "Oh my God, that was so wonderful. Chris would love to meet you. Do you have time?" And I said, "I would be honored." Apparently, Chris, Dana, and a few other people saw my entire performance on a TV screen in the green room where Chris was waiting. And I have to tell you, when I met him, it was a total reality check. Because when you hear about someone in that condition, that's one thing. But when you see it, it's a totally different vibe. The only parts of his body that this man could move were his lips, his eyes, and his eyebrows. And he greeted me with the biggest smile, and he said, "Steve Rizzo, thank you so much for taking the time to visit with me. I just have to tell you how much I appreciated what you said up there, especially about starting your day with an unstoppable attitude and persevering regardless of what other people think." He goes, I live by that philosophy. But the thing that really touched me, he said, when you talked about your humor being, he goes, Steve, I have to tell you that my humor being was the most important strategy to help me embrace this change that took place in my life. It gave me a sense of normalcy and balance in my life. Now, if you were to read, by the way, you know what, folks? What he said humbled me like you wouldn't believe. And to this day, it's the best compliment I ever received, because hearing it from him just solidified what I was doing was contributing somehow. And if you ever read his book, Nothing's Impossible, and he wrote this book a couple of years after he was paralyzed, the whole book is about persevering regardless of what people say. Have that unstoppable attitude regardless of your circumstances. And there's a part in that book where he says jokes about being in the wheelchair helped him to diffuse the anger and the fear about living in a wheelchair. And every time he would approach the dinner table or the breakfast table, sometimes he would have to park his chair and he'd hit the table or a chair, and the family would all lift up their plates and glasses and go, "Gangway, here comes the crazy driver." And he said it just made him feel like part of the family. When he was on the Letterman show, Letterman asked him, "How you doing?" He goes, "I'm doing pretty good, but I think I broke my neck again riding over the potholes in this damn city of yours." Letterman laughed, the audience laughed, and it made way for a really good interview. The point I'm making here is that it was these types of wisecracks, these types of jokes that helped this superhuman being from falling prey for the devastating consequences of negative thinking. And had he held on to those thoughts that were trying to tell him of what he no longer could be, he more than likely would have been paralyzed, more than just physically, but emotionally, mentally, and spiritually as well. And he told me later on that day, he said, "You know what, Steve, sometimes finding humor isn't easy." But he had a profound feeling, an understanding deep within him that that's when he needed it most. And he used that phrase again. He goes, "That's when I made a conscious choice to allow my humor being to become a part of who I am." And it was that innate ability that helped him and propelled him to make that shift to actually literally laugh in the face of fear, which is the thing that motivated him and helped him to achieve so much of what he did achieve in his lifetime. I think Mark Twain said it best, not even fear can stand against the assault of laughter. And as I said, he passed away 5 months after I met him, but that's not what's important. The reason why I'm telling you this story, what's important, folks, is what we do on this planet with the time that is allotted us. And I want to tell you what Christopher Reeve accomplished in those last 9 years of his life falls nothing short of miraculous. He accomplished more in those 9 years than most people I know, and I know a lot of people, could accomplish in a lifetime. And he did it in that condition. And he claimed that his sense of humor, his humor being, was a major catalyst, a major strategy that helped him to do that.
My third story is about death. When I was 17, I read a quote that went something like, "If you live each day as if it was your last, someday you'll most certainly be right." It made an impression on me, and since then, for the past 33 years, I have looked in the mirror every morning and asked myself, if today were the last day of my life, would I want to do what I am about to do today? And whenever the answer has been no for too many days in a row, I know I need to change something. Remembering that I'll be dead soon is the most important tool I've ever encountered to help me make the big choices in life. Because almost everything, all external expectations, all pride, all fear of embarrassment or failure, these things just fall away in the face of death, leaving only what is truly important. Remembering that you are going to die is the best way I know to avoid the trap of thinking you have something to lose. You are already naked. There is no reason not to follow your heart. About a year ago, I was diagnosed with cancer. I had a scan at 7:30 in the morning, and it clearly showed a tumor on my pancreas. I didn't even know what a pancreas was. The doctors told me this was almost certainly a type of cancer that is incurable, and that I should expect to live no longer than 3 to 6 months. My doctor advised me to go home and get my affairs in order, which is doctor's code for prepare to die. It means to try and tell your kids everything you thought you'd have the next 10 years to tell them in just a few months. It means to make sure everything is buttoned up so that it will be as easy as possible for your family. It means to say your goodbyes. I lived with that diagnosis all day. Later that evening, I had a biopsy where they stuck an endoscope down my throat, through my stomach and into my intestines, put a needle into my pancreas and got a few cells from the tumor. I was sedated, but my wife, who was there, told me that when they viewed the cells under a microscope, the doctors started crying because it turned out to be a very rare form of pancreatic cancer that is curable with surgery. I had the surgery, and thankfully, I'm fine now. This was the closest I've been to facing death, and I hope it's the closest I get for a few more decades. Having lived through it, I can now say this to you with a bit more certainty than when death was a useful but purely intellectual concept. No one wants to die. Even people who want to go to heaven don't want to die to get there. And yet, death is the destination we all share. No one has ever escaped it. And that is as it should be, because death is very likely the single best invention of life. It's life's change agent. It clears out the old to make way for the new. Right now, the new is you. But someday, not too long from now, you will gradually become the old and be cleared away. Sorry to be so dramatic, but it's quite true. Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner voice. And most important, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become. Everything else is secondary.
The final key to living without limits is concentration. If you have an 8-hour workday, how many hours of work do you truly get done? Is it 8, 7, 5? Studies show that the average worker only gets 3 hours of productive work done each day. And that's because concentration has become increasingly difficult in our modern society. Developing concentration skills means having the self-discipline to force yourself to focus single-mindedly on one thing, the most important thing, and stick with it until it's complete. Try thinking of this in these terms. Let's say that you work on a sales team and you're paid by the number of clients you speak with per hour. You maintain concentration throughout the day and speak to 100 people every day. Meanwhile, your co-workers have a hard time focusing and they only speak to 30 people a day. Who is your boss going to start trusting with more responsibilities and rewarding with bigger paychecks? By working to develop concentration, you will become a diligent worker who is able to conquer any task or goal that is set in your path. Learning to have clarity and competence and concentration, the big C's, will make a true difference in your life. As you become excellent in these 3 key areas, you'll be able to push past the limits and achieve your goals so you can live the life you want to live.
Well, what's needed, I think, is a checklist. The first thing that he ought to have on his checklist, in my opinion, is the word, a goal. A man without a goal is like a ship without a rudder. He doesn't know where he's going. He then belongs to that 95% that is just living day by day, month after month, like a starfish or an amoeba. He needs to know where he's going. Back in the early days of navigation, sailors used to see a strange sight in the Antarctic. They'd see a giant iceberg towering high out of the sea, and it would be moving against the wind. The wind would be blowing this way. The great iceberg would be moving right into the teeth of the wind. And this, of course, frightened the sailors whose ships were powered by the wind, until it was discovered that, of course, only a fraction of the great berg was visible, and that its huge, ponderous roots were caught in the great currents of the ocean. And it was being borne purposely along its way, regardless of the winds and the tides on the surface. Well, this is what a man needs. He needs his roots deep in the great main stream of his own choosing. And then he'll move along his way, regardless of the winds on the surface of his life or short-term expediency. And he'll get the way he's going. The second word on our checklist might be the word attitude. It's been called the most important word in any language in the world, because it's our attitude toward our world, toward all the people in it, that will determine the world's attitude and all the people's attitude toward us. It's a simple thing. Most of us know it, but we tend to forget it. People will react to us according to our attitude. And our attitude is the greatest gift we can be given. You know, the little creatures of the world were given a wonderful gift by Mother Nature called protective coloring, in which they can blend into their background without being seen. But man was not given this great gift, because man was given an incalculably greater one. Only man has the godlike power to make his surroundings change to fit him, because his environment will change as he changes. A man's environment is a merciless mirror of him as a human being. And if he thinks his environment could stand a little improvement, all he has to do is improve, and his environment will improve to reflect the changing man. Third would be the word think. To think. The highest function of which a human being is capable. It was put pretty well by the great Pulitzer Prize-winning playwright Archibald MacLeish in his great play, The Secret of Freedom, in which he has one of his characters say, "The only thing about a man that is a man is his mind. Everything else you can find in a pig or a horse." It's true. And so if we're going to develop something, this is a good place to start. To think deliberately and with a purpose. To spend a little time each day before a blank sheet of paper with our goal perhaps written at the top, and come up with some fresh, new, and exciting ideas. The next point on our checklist you might call the law of laws. That's what Emerson called it, is great old law of cause and effect. That our rewards in life will always be in exact proportion to our contribution, to our service. We all know this, really. We tell our children in Sunday school that as ye sow, so shall ye reap, but we forget that that's true. If a man is unhappy with his rewards, all in the world he's got to do is find ways of increasing his contribution, his service. It's like the story of the preacher who was driving down a country road, and all of a sudden he came to the most magnificent farm he'd ever seen in his life. It was beautiful. And so he saw the farmer approaching the road on his tractor, and so he hailed him, and he said, "My good man," he said, "God has certainly blessed you with a magnificent farm." And the farmer thought for a moment, and he said, "Yes, you're right, he certainly has. But you should have seen this place when he had it all to himself." And the preacher had his sermon for the next Sunday. He realized that all the farmers up and down that road had been given the same land, but one man had made something great out of it. Well, all of us are given the same land. We're given a human life, and each of us can make something great out of it too if we want to. The next point might be simply the word truth. Since everything we do has an equal and opposite reaction, unless what we're doing is based on truth, we're building on sand, and it can't stand. The next point would be R&D, research and development. None of us would want to work for a company or invest our money in a company that didn't have a very viable research and development department, that is, pumping a good percentage of its profits back into research and development because its future depends on it. But so does a man's. And you might ask yourself, how much of your own take-home pay have you spent during the past year for materials calculated to make you smarter this year than you were a year before? Calculated to make you a little better, a little bigger as a human being, to perhaps love a little more and hate a little less, and do a little better job than you did a year ago. How much money are you pumping back into yourself and your future? It's worth thinking about. And finally, the strangest secret. At the beginning, I said, what makes a child grow up into the human being he becomes? Well, this is the reason for that. Of course, he's the confluence of a genetic pool that goes back for thousands and thousands of years. His environment has an influence on him, of course. But what makes him become the person he becomes is that he becomes what he thinks about most of the time. It's as simple as that. We become what we think about most of the time. And that's the strangest secret. This is why thinking is so vital. This is why a goal is so important. Because we will become that. This is why people who set goals achieve them. The trouble with men is not in achieving their goals. They do that. It's in establishing them. We must love them, we must help them, we must serve them, because our whole success will depend on our ability to do these things. But never lose our own individuality and our identity by permitting ourselves to become submerged in what has historically proved itself to be little more than a suffocating sea of indirection and purposelessness. If we want to emulate someone, fine, but let's be choosy in whose steps we follow. It's the only life we've got. And remember to think. Imagination is everything, and we can become what we can imagine. If you find yourself getting depressed and down at the mouth, as we all get once in a while, you might want to remember this quotation by Dean Briggs. He said, "Do your work. Not just your work and no more, but a little more for the lavishing's sake. That little more which is worth all the rest. And if you suffer as you must, and if you doubt as you must, do your work. Put your heart into it, and the sky will clear. And then out of your very doubt and suffering will be born the supreme joy of life." Believe it or not, in an age when we've come to nearly deify leisure time, we've almost lost sight of the fact that virtually all our satisfactions, rewards will come not from our leisure, but from our work. And don't forget the strangest secret. We become what we think about.
But I appreciated the energy, I'll tell you that. What determines your resources? We've said decisions shape destiny, which is my focus here. If decisions shape destiny, what determines it is 3 decisions. What are you going to focus on? Right now, you have to decide what you're going to focus on. In this second, consciously or unconsciously. The minute you decide to focus on something, you got to give it a meaning. And whatever that meaning is produces emotion. Is this the end or the beginning? Is God punishing me or rewarding me, or is this the roll of the dice? And emotion then creates what we're going to do, or the action. So think about your own life, the decisions that have shaped your destiny. And that sounds really heavy, but in the last 5 or 10 years, 15 years, haven't there been some decisions you've made that if you made a different decision, your life would be completely different? How many can think of one, honestly? Better or worse? Say aye. So the bottom line is, maybe it was where to go to work and you met the love of your life there. Maybe it was a career decision. I know the Google geniuses I saw here. I mean, I understand that their decision was to sell their technology at first. What if they made that decision versus to build their own culture? How would the world be different? How would their lives be different? Their impact. The history of our world is these decisions. When a woman stands up and says, "No, I won't go to the back of the bus," she didn't just affect her life. That decision shaped our culture. Or someone standing in front of a tank. Or being in a position like Lance Armstrong and someone says to you, "You got testicular cancer." That's pretty tough for any male, especially if you ride a bike. Right? You got it in your brain, you got it in your lungs. But what was his decision of what to focus on? Different than most people. What did it mean? It wasn't the end, it was the beginning. What am I gonna do? He goes off and wins 7 championships he never won once before the cancer, because he got emotional fitness, psychological strength. That's the difference in human beings that I've seen of the 3 million I've been around, because that's not my lab. I've had 3 million people from 80 different countries that I've had a chance to interact with over the last 29 years. And after a while, patterns become obvious. You see that South America and Africa maybe connect in a certain way, right? Other people say, "Oh, that sounds ridiculous." It's simple. So what shaped Lance? What shapes you? 2 invisible forces, very quickly. 1, state. We all have had times. Have you had a time you did something and after you did it, you thought to yourself, "I can't believe I said that. I can't believe I did that. That was so stupid." Who's been there? Say aye. Have you ever done something after you do it, you go, "That was me." Right? It wasn't your ability, it was your state. I should be able to change that quickly, but what I want to finish with quickly here is, your model of the world is what shapes you long term. Your model of the world is the filter. That's what's shaping us. That's what makes people make decisions. When we want to influence somebody, we gotta know what already influences them. And it's made up of 3 parts, I believe. First, what's your target? What are you after? Which I believe, it's not your desires. You can get your desires to goals. How many of you got a goal, desire, and thought, "Is this all there is?" How many been there? Say aye. So it's needs we have. I believe there are 6 human needs. Second, once you know what the target that's driving you is, and you uncover it for the truth, you don't form it, you uncover it. Then you find out what's your map. What's the belief systems that are telling you how to get those needs? Some people think the way to get those needs is destroy the world. Some people is to build something, create something, love someone. And then there's the fuel you pick.